Hey everyone. Hello, hello. Let me get the chat open. So, another week. Um, it feels like a Sunday still. I don't know why. Um, I can't believe we used to do these on Mondays and on what was it? Like Mondays and Wednesdays we used to do. Feels really weird. But nonetheless, as usual, excited for the lesson. My hair is doing its own crazy thing with static today. So if you see it and it's distracting, love me anyway. So today we're going to cover one of my favorite topics, and that is how to deal with food on the go and in social situations. This one is going to pertain a lot more towards the changing things in the summer season. So I want to talk first, and those of you who are in the challenge, you guys saw that in our reflection question, we're talking about trouble zones, maybe. So, or it was in the homework. Either way, if you're in the challenge, trouble zones probably stuck out to you. Like, what the hell is that? We're going to go over, I don't like to call them situations necessarily, but there are certain lead ups that we can kind of get caught in especially in the summer season, that makes it harder to focus on prioritizing ourselves or the baby steps. So our goal in CCA, as you guys know this, is never to be about like blind discipline. It's never supposed to be like you should just do this with willpower. We're always trying to hack it. So when it comes to these situations that we get ourselves into because we don't plan to enjoy them, we plan to just survive it. We plan to attend that situation, to get through it. And then we get upset when we realize how different it is for us, because what other people's modes of just enjoying their day, like that's different for us. Doesn't mean it has to be that shittier or like we can't enjoy things, but the process has to be different for us to enjoy it. But isn't that okay anyway? Because what's the alternative? We just don't enjoy ourselves ever. So have you guys, I want you, if you answered this for the challenge at any point, don't worry about answering again. But those of you who are watching this, as you're hearing this, when I talk about trouble zones, meaning there's situations that we don't plan ahead for in any way, you know, that we go into it thinking we're just going to enjoy it like a normal person and then feel like we're set up to always feel abnormal that way. Have you guys ever found yourself in that type of a situation, especially socially, especially with food? Who has felt like they can't enjoy things like other people can because they can't enjoy it the same way? Tell me in the chat. Now, as you guys are typing that out, you know, summertime comes with these challenges in the way of celebrating and wanting to be carefree. But it's funny because then it's the opposite of that we accomplish when we feel like shit, right? And I don't care what you're doing. You're not feeling carefree and fun loving when you're feeling like absolute crap, right? So what are you guys saying? Work, holiday parties, going out to dinner? Yeah. You know, most parties I wind up leaving starving and crabby from being hungry. Yeah, all the time, especially around holidays and impromptu going to eat with the friends and family. And it's almost like, you know, we know what it's going to be when we're going into it. So it's either we feel restricted and excluded, or we feel like we have to feel like crap in order to be present at that moment. Who would enjoy it? No one. Summer nights and summer brewery trips. Oh boy, breweries are like the bane of my existence because they're just so fun. And I always want to go to one. And there's just so much gluten everywhere. But they're fun and they're like it's part of an experience too. You know, so it feels like, well, if I can't do what other people are doing, then I'm not enjoying that experience as much, you know? So some things I wrote down here, trouble zones that are common. Social events, obviously, vacation, irregular schedule. So I see this with clients all the time. You know, summer schedules change. Sometimes you guys have off on Friday, like a half day Fridays, or especially with remote work, things have kind of changed as some companies are going to hybrid structure and stuff like that. Especially this year, things are going to be different. You know, kids being home, having that throw you off. Summer flare-ups. We are affected by temperature changes. You know, do you guys not, you feel anyone else here? I mean, I often wonder if this is like I have so many freaking illnesses that I'm like, which one is pissed off? Let's play this game. But when the weather's changing, I feel like if you have a hormone imbalance, it's just like you see it in the way of puffiness, or you see more joint inflammation, especially for those of you who have thyroid involvement in here, so all of these little things can equal out to a flare up in the summertime when it's very volatile weather patterns and stuff like that. And we don't really consider that. We just try to like live our normal summer life around it as if it's not changing our threshold. Not having time the night prior, more social engagements during the week because it's light until 9 o'clock at night out means that it also alters what you do the night prior to prepare for the next day. Less sleep, again, has to do with it being lighter later, has to do with vitamin D levels going up, having more energy, there being more plans in general. Pictures. Everybody's favorite, especially in the summer, less clothes. Why not? Not feeling like cooking when you've worked all day and it's sunny till 9 p.m. Right? How many of you guys, the later it stays lighter out, it's like you feel like your dinner time gets later and later as well. It's kind of because, and especially for my ADHD crowd in here, not realizing the time. It's like the theme of our lives. That goes out of whack when the light used to be dark at 4 o'clock and now it's not. So what are you guys hearing as you're hearing these things listed off? Does it sound like stuff you would fall into? Does it sound like maybe some stuff you haven't realized before it could be a big hindrance? Tell me your thoughts. I really struggle with the unpredictable work day. Can't wear rings in summer at all. Joints hurt so bad in the summer. I swell when the weather gets warmer. Yeah, I always say like I'm puffy with humidity. Like I'm just humidity, swollen. But my joints hurt and breathing gets more difficult and the heart rate races. Fatigue is so bad in the summer. I knock out when it's light out. There you go. Time for dinner gets so crazy around this time and it affects me more than I realized. Yeah, all of these things, and not for nothing. This hair here on the horizon. Anyway, I'm going to stand above it so I don't get distracted, but we don't realize how these things really do affect us. It's not about being lazy or disorganized or, not on your ball. It has nothing to do with it. It has everything to do with our bodies are sensitive instruments and they're going to reflect the changes that we're putting it through. Our bodies are both the most inconsistent things and also crave consistency. So by looking for consistency and how we adapt to things, that's going to be how we're, that's why we do hacks, is because you can't always consistently assume you're going to know how to get through every situation or know how you're going to feel every day, especially while you're healing. So what you can rely on consistently are the hacks that you have to try and make it a little bit easier. So let's see what you guys are saying here. I got this nice, I like when I see a nice text block. I'm like, oh, that's a juicy comment. So I know social settings are hardest for me. They come with guilt or stress about people noticing I'm not eating things or having a cheat day. That's a huge one. So my thing is, would those the people who are judging or noticing, or that you're afraid of judging, even if it's just emotional, because like logically they won't really judge, but it feels that way. Will they be the same way towards you and in your life if you were or you weren't dieting? Would it have any change on how they were present in your life if you were eating the thing or you weren't eating the thing or anything like that? So even if they bring it up, having the confidence to be like, you don't even have to explain, just be like, I'm good. I'm eating what I want to eat. Having that feeling there, if you're with the right crowd, that should be sufficient. That's not always the case. And then I can definitely help guide through there specifically, but just keep that in mind that it's, anyone who judges somebody else eating any particular way, they're kind of the asshole, so don't feel bad because you're trying to not feel like garbage every day. Easier said than done, especially when you have decades of society making you feel like a disgusting ogre. I get it. So let's see. It sounds like the stuff I fall into, even Easter threw me off. Everybody, just from quiche, I either get working on, I had a slice of babka yesterday, full gluten. Granted, I was like, but I still struggled today because my stomach's like, what? You know, hey, I wanted to try it. I never really had babka before. It was great. But even Easter threw me off just from quiche. I either get working on meal prep or struggle to get through it. I'm trying to keep a happy medium on even off days. I also find that feel that anxiety. I know most people have noticed I suddenly went gluten-free because it messed up my stomach and because of the group too. Yeah. Let people notice you go gluten-free. Be proud of it. Even if inside you're like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Outwardly, the people follow our vibe. The weirder we feel about something, the more embarrassed or shameful we kind of feel about something. It's the vibe that is given off, then it becomes a weird thing or a taboo thing. And it by default, a lot of people will try to talk you out of it. This will blow your mind because they can sense you hate it. So when you have these well-meaning people who try to talk you out of doing something you're doing, also look at how you are referring to what you're doing. Because if you seem downtrodden about it, what they might be doing is trying to be like, oh, don't worry about that. You're going to be fine, because they just feel bad if you're not, like, if you feel bad. How crazy is that? Especially, they don't have to believe in the science behind it. They don't have to believe that gluten makes you feel like shit. That's totally fine, you know, but I think a lot of people just back off when it's like no big deal seemingly to you, because then they would feel weird continuing. I just wish people didn't feel entitled to need to advise. I wish if everybody had that chip, right? Everybody. I got to check myself a lot of times too. Are you kidding me? Even in some of those Facebook groups, like the PCOS or the Hashimoto's groups, I have to like stop myself from being a bossy know-it-all when like no one asked, you know. But I think everybody would fare well from having that chip, you know. Becomes even more judgmental when you have a history of eating disorder. Absolutely. I used to have a rule. I think I just did a post on this the other day, if not, it's coming up, about how I used to allow myself tea with cream at night if I had a salad or a green for dinner, like only if. And that was what I convinced myself was my treat, because I would leave my house and I would go get this cup of tea at like a Quick Check or a Wawa or something. And it was like permissible, you know. And it's like, think about that. And it's like, of course, you know, if I ever enjoyed a dessert in front of someone who looked at me sideways, or if I ever tried to go on a diet and someone made a comment on it, like that person's still kind of in there. They never really leave. It takes trying to like talk them through it and be like, there's no need for that. This person doesn't matter. They never helped you before. So what do they matter now? You know, it's brain and logic are two different things, you know. I mean, logic and emotion are two different things. I like that answer. I'm eating what I want. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm enjoying it. If you're not having a problem, no one else should, right? So, okay, my favorite hacks. You guys ready for this? So, my favorite hacks to avoid trouble zones is inventory day. Take a stock of what you like, pick a day out of the calendar, put it in your freaking phone, set it on a reoccurring calendar until it takes 17 days to make it a habit, right? What's that, like 2 weeks? So make this a part of your routine, right? Put it in your phone, put your inventory, set it up. On that day, you're going to go take stock of what you have, what you need to get, when you're going to run out of the stuff that you use a lot. You're basically going to act like you have a little restaurant, right? And you got to get an inventory to see what it is you need. That might sound simple because some of you might grocery shop like that already. But when you're viewing it from a standpoint of the following things I'm going to give you, it helps keep it so that you have the stuff you need in stock. There are a lot of non-baby step friendly versions of the things that you could have in stock. And those things might be easier to acquire. And I don't think that when you're enjoying yourself in summer and either you're bummed out about results you haven't gotten or you're excited about results you have, I don't think that is the time to get lax on the staples that just help what you're doing be easier. So at the very least, if you keep inventoried with these things, there's no reason to go buy more stuff. You're good. You got it. You got your pantry stocked. So, and you don't have to have anything fancy. I'm talking basics. Okay. So in terms of what these basics are, think of your meals. This is a nice review for those of you who've been with me for a while, but vessels, meats, and sides. So vessels in the culinary world, it's like the thing that carries the flavor. So it's the pasta with a sauce, the bread for a sandwich, the baked potato, it's got all the filling in it, the avocado, if it's a stuffed avocado, like whatever it is, it's quite literally the vessel in which you transport it to your mouth. So, and usually they're pretty basic in flavor, and the flavor component is what the vessel is just helping you out with. So the vessels, pastas, breads, things like that. I mean, breads in the summertime, keep that on hand, because how many barbecues are you going to be pissed off that you're eating a freaking hot dog really just kind of awkwardly by itself without bread, or maybe not, maybe you won't, but I'm just saying things get easier when you have your bread option with you. If your baby step is not bread or carbs or gluten or anything like that, just take all this with a grain of salt and plan accordingly. But for those of you who are on that kind of a baby step, this could make it a really difficult situation, right? If you get invited to a barbecue and you show up and everything is just like not hormone friendly, there's no type of bread you can have, and you're the only one who gives a shit about the bread. So you're going to be the only one there who's like dealing without it. It just can create a situation that doesn't really need to be, because you could just bring your own bread, right? So vessels, super important. Meats. Those could be flavored however you want. It could be grilled, it could be cooked, however you decide to make it. And if you don't have meat, protein, I should say. I have plenty of non-meat eating clients, but protein. You have your vessel, you have your protein, you have your side. And for a side, I always like a good veggie. Some of you guys who don't like veggies in here, text me, because I'm determined. I swear, if you don't like veggies, it's because you haven't had it made well. But which we will figure out together. But those components of a meal, if you can figure out whether you have them on hand, they will be supplied at the place you're going to, or you can order it at the place that you're going to, whatever the situation calls for. They're good. All you need to know is what you have. Like, it doesn't have to be this big elaborate thing. Let's see. Batch cooking. Oh, no. Before I get there, we're going to talk about burba. So some of you guys have heard this example before. I love a good story and analogy. I feel like it makes it stick. So in elementary school, I was friends with a girl named Burva Shaw. And Burva Shaw's mom would send her to school with toast, buttered toast, wrapped in aluminum foil. And we would sit, I don't know how this came to be. I probably asked her for a piece, just being honest. But every day she'd come into school and she'd be like, and like motion to me. And then I'd like go over with her and we'd eat toast in the cafeteria. Like she'd share her toast with me and we'd eat bread together. Besides that being like an adorable image, but like little feet dangling, eating toast, But besides all that, I like to use it as a fun way to remember, bring friggin' bread with you. Bring bread with you. If you're eating gluten-free, if you're eating low carb, whatever the case may be, put it in your purse. If you never eat it, take it home, you'll eat it later. It's not like you're going to throw it out because you ended up not needing it. But if you're running around on a crazy day, you can stop at any fast food place and put a burger on it. If you are anywhere really with friends or anything, it immediately helps whatever you're eating feel less weird, restrictive, right? Just getting that out of the way. So that's my big, be like Burva, bring your bread with you. I probably gotta like tell Burva that I tell all my clients about her, but she'd probably love it. So thoughts on these hacks so far? Inventory day. Bring your bread with you, be like Burva. Thinking about vessels, proteins, and sides, just to make sure that they're available at the place that, to be there with you. So let's see. Yeah, you need to start bringing bread with me. It's the easiest thing. And no one, if you feel weird about it, like, do you bring candy with you to a movie theater? I do. I'm not paying $13 for a box of Mike and Ike's. Are you out of your mind? Besides the hormone aspect, screw that. Everyone's purse is like a weekender bag anyway these days. So just, throw some like hormone friendly options in there. I load up. I get so excited because I'm like, yes, I'm going to eat everything in this bag of this movie, So having it be like you're excited to eat at a barbecue because you have bread. And you're like, oh, I brought bread with me. It sounds like a silly thing, but it's really not. It's just making it easier and more fun. And you're not gonna feel like crap afterwards as well. That's the biggest thing, is like, why is this worth it? It's not about weight here. It's also about the thing. If you are worried about weight in here, it's the thing that's causing the weight, the illness. If the bread is pissing it off, don't you want to still enjoy bread, but not have to feel like crap? Happy medium. So, and honestly, there's so many new breads now that it's a money maker. Companies are on that shit every day, you know? So my poor little colitis ridden self, when I first went gluten-free, I had to drive like 15 minutes to the next town for some cinder block ass loaf of bread that cost $14. Abysmal. Okay. Hack what you want. Don't try to completely replace it and hope that whatever you're replacing it with tastes so similar to the original thing that you just don't miss it. And this is explained in depth. I think I have like 2 minding your bite videos in the page, which is like my ultimate. I tell every client, if there's one video you watch, minding your bite, super important. But minding your bite puts the emphasis on like, are you enjoying what you're eating? Yes, it might taste different. Yes, it might have a different smell, texture, whatever, right? But like, if you didn't know that that was gluten-free or that was low carb or whatever, and someone just said, try this, would you enjoy it? If the answer is yes, who gives a shit what's in it, right? So if you find something that you want, you're in the mood for it, you know, and you want to scratch that itch, but you understand like, hey, I can have that exact thing and feel like shit, or I can find something and I can have as much of it as I want and I can really scratch the itch, and I'll reserve that for a period of time where it feels more worth it to feel like crap for it, because that will happen, right? If you're having something that's an alternative and it's still good, it still feels indulgent, but it's pumpernickel instead of sourdough, because that's really what it is. It's just about different tastes and textures. It has nothing to do, gives a shit if it's gluten-free. Just evaluate it at face value. Like, am I enjoying this, right? Find replacements for stuff that doesn't need to be exactly the same for you to feel satisfied. Take it as a different thing I like. Another food I enjoy. There are many foods I enjoy, and certain foods make me feel a certain way and certain foods don't. So what do I want today? I want a food I enjoy that doesn't make me feel that way. This is why, see why now having your inventory is super important. It's like these options keep us feeling less restricted, because we're not stuck behind the decision of a flare up or feeling like a freak because we can't enjoy anything. Know where you're going and know their menu, and eat during the day beforehand. A lot of times if we're afraid that we're gonna, I don't know if any of you guys have done this, I definitely have. I would get ready for holidays, restaurants, whatever, by not really eating during the day. And I thought, well, I'm saving up for it, right? I'm going to indulge later. That just made me binge out like crazy. I spent more money than I wanted to. I drank more than I wanted to. I ate foods I didn't want to. You know, it was like I didn't call the shots because I was saving up for later, but yet my basic instinct kicked in and I'm freaking hungry. You know, don't do that. Set yourself, and don't like try to eat so many vegetables like broccoli all day long so you're so full you don't, none of that shit works. Don't put yourself through that. Your farts are going to be weird for nothing. Don't do it. So know where you're going ahead of time and know the menu. Pick out your food beforehand. Get excited about it. You know, be like, ooh, I can't wait to get this. And also it gives you time to see if there's anything that you can tweak. Who here cringes if you have to ask for a food modification at a restaurant? Anyone here done the whole, hi, I'm so sorry, like I can't have, like, do you have like a gluten-free menu? I'm so sorry for the inconvenience. No, ain't nobody got time for that. If you ask in a respectful manner and you kind of already know how you want your food modified, they don't mind. It's when you want them to go on some like Gordon Ramsay quest to recreate a dish for you because there's a huge issue, or you send it back because you didn't ask for a proper thing, or like whatever. Those inconveniences truly piss people off. But if you're like, hi, I want the veal cutlets without the marsala sauce. Bring me extra lemons and a plate of butter, please. You would ask nicer than that, because I just barked it at someone. But you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to mean that your food is shit, right? But if you kind of know how to tweak your food accordingly, then you go in, you're prepared, you know what to ask for, and then there you go. You can always call ahead and get a feel for how they are with food modifications and stuff like that. But have it picked out before you go, because I mean, even if you can change your mind if you'd like once you get there, but it's like it adds to the overwhelm of the situation. Then reviewing and saying like, oh my God, what am I going to ask for in front of all these people? And I have anxiety. I hate asking questions when I don't need to in like large settings. So I was at a restaurant and they had gluten-free options, but not exactly what I wanted. I felt bad for taking too long ordering. So I just ended up ordering whatever and felt like caca later. So look for the item, like learn those situations will happen. Learn from those, you know, like what about it would you have done differently? What would you have ordered? What would you have asked about? You know, you're allowed to like what you eat, even though it's gluten-free. And there are a lot of foods on menus that are naturally gluten-free. You just got to double check on a couple of things, like if the sauce has flour in it or if they're battered or stuff like that. But there's a ton of stuff that just is gluten-free. You don't even have to make it a point of asking about gluten-free or not. Depends on my day. I told them I couldn't have gluten or corn, and they gave me some extra potatoes with my Mexican omelet. It was worth it because I wasn't feeling sick. Absolutely. You know, and some places are great. They'll help you out. Some places truly have no idea about gluten at all, you know, but what is the website? It's like, I think it's Find Me Gluten Free. If you go on findmeglutenfree.com and you search up like restaurants and stuff like that in your area, people leave really great reviews. And especially for my lovelies with celiac, tell me how when you go somewhere and they treat you really well and they're truly dedicated gluten-free and give a damn, you got to leave a review, like a good review, you know. So I feel with colitis. So they have really, really good insider scoop if you do Find Me Gluten-Free. So, but yeah, some restaurants are great. They bend over backwards. They have a gluten-free menu, right? But you are still allowed to modify. You don't have to be okay with like plain penne. All right. So, if you know, this one's my favorite, guys. If you know you eat things you don't want to eat when you drink too much, don't drink too much. Now, easier said than done, but make it a point to recognize and say where that threshold is. Try to taper it, meaning I'm not going to tell you, you know, alcohol screws up our metabolism, our inflammation, all that. But if you know me as a coach, you know that I'm not someone that tells you not to do anything. I just give you the info and then say, if you need help, let's do it. So if you're going out, bring Mio drops with you, flavoring drops, whatever, you know, and just get it. I don't know why I can't talk all of a sudden. Hold on. Add it to seltzer, plain club soda, whatever. You get it at the bar. Now taper in between your drinks with that. Now everyone knows you drink a glass of water between drinks. It's supposed to help with a hangover. I don't drink water when I'm sober, right? Like I'm not going to be occupied. Like, oh, did I get my 1 for 1? You know, this is not my ideal time of like discipline and order. So you have to make it fun. I have to have a cool drink to drink in between. And they don't really have a whole hell of a lot of mocktail options and stuff, that, especially now that are hormone friendly. Not yet. But if you bring something fun to cut in between, or you can add Diet Coke to a lot of different mixed drinks. You can, I love doing Diet Coke and wine. I grew up, that's what they did in my family. It's like all of us, you know, Diet Sprite, Diet Coke, whatever it is, love mixing that with wine. Beer is not my forte. Never really been a big beer drinker, but what's that beer that is popular now? It's like low carb, gluten free. Apparently doesn't taste like crap. Is it like not Enlightened? That's the ice cream. It starts with an E. I have to look that up and post it for you guys. But there are different options. You know, White Claws. You can be basic. It's fine. You know, things like that. Try to really think of drinking in a way that feels smart, because you're going to have some repair that has to happen. You know, we all know that, but you want to also take into consideration that if it makes you feel like you have no control over what you're eating, like you regret what you eat the next day. It's super common. How many friggin' slices of pizza I had at like 2 a.m.? Are you kidding me? It was like just death to my gut the next day. But that being said, in situations where you can get ahead of it, every bit helps. Oh, Mo, I think I know what you're talking about, but I think that one is brewed to remove gluten. So it's not totally gluten-free. Okay, good specification. So probably not celiac friendly, but might be at least easier to digest, break down, won't cause as much inflammation. My God, hold on. I'm holding back a cough and it's why I'm speaking like a weirdo. Hold on. And we're back. Okay. So yeah, I love the Mio squeeze. Oh, or unsweetened iced tea. And I love just using Splenda. Most bars have Equal or Splenda or something. They also offer any kinds of coffees. Tequila helps with blood sugars, by the way. It increases insulin sensitivity. I'm not saying go on a tequila bender every day because you're going to be inflamed, right? It's not going to work that well. But hey, if you're already drinking, I'm just saying. So remember, if you really want to try something, like there is something there and you're having like an existential crisis because you wish that you could just be normal enough to enjoy and taste something and blah, 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 have it, have a bite, try it, ask someone, can I taste that? There's nothing wrong with that, right? And if you want one, you really, really want one, order it. If you feel like this tastes good, but I don't need this to be my meal, this is great, but I don't need an entire portion of this. Like I feel good having that and then having this because I can have as much of that as I want. That's the goal. That, no one is going to die. I mean, aside from like allergies and stuff like that, but like no one is going to die if you try a little bite of something that's got sugar in it, right? But preventing yourself from having any of it ever is going to lead you to a fuck it moment. So if you think about it in like short-term investment versus long-term investment, have the bite, try the thing, say you tried it. And if you don't need to have a portion of it, you're good. And lastly, lust list. I love the lust list and everybody forgets about it, especially in the summer. So one of the biggest contributions to my long-term consistency and just success with my own baby steps has been the lust list. Now, those are foods that you're craving, that you really want to enjoy on a list with the intention of figuring out how to hack them all. How to tweak whatever you got to tweak to be gluten-free or low carb, how to make it sugar-free, how to do whatever it is you got to do to it to make it suit how you feel. You want to keep like really intentionally make a list of a lust list, all of the foods you wish you could eat as much as you want of, right? And then we go, I'll help, Evie will help, Sophie will help, we're all here, I love doing this kind of stuff, but take it one by one and try to duplicate it in a way that is more hormone friendly for you. You might make some that suck. You might order some that suck, right? What do we got a deadline here? Like keep going till you find one that doesn't suck. They exist. And ask for help too, because like I said, we love doing that stuff. But make it a goal. Maybe once a week, you make something on the lust list or you purchase it off Netrition or Amazon or something. But have that be your goal, is to literally have options so that you can decide which one you pick based on how you want to feel versus feeling like you're stuck with an option that makes you feel like shit. And then it's fun. It's also fun to feel like, oh my God, I made this. This is great. I make this again. Kitchen Confidence is a really good series that I feel like we have to resurrect that. Maybe for our next challenge, we'll do a cooking challenge. But Kitchen Confidence in the classroom, I would go back and if you watched it before, give yourself a refresh. If you haven't, it's a great series to get into. It deals with all of the things that come with cooking, not just like I don't know how to cook or I'm picky. Like it goes in more in depth in like the true CCA way into all the facets of cooking. So definitely suggest that. Let's see, how to order sushi. Okay, so I did this the other day. We went out for a friend's birthday. It was like my first time going out for a birthday, and my God, it was like 2 years. So we went to like a cool sushi spot, and I was like having flashbacks to the pandemic, right? You guys have heard my Prosecco, my sushi story. All it took was a couple sushi rolls and some Prosecco to like completely screw me up, right? Well, not for nothing, I had one sushi roll. It was an expensive ass place, so they gave you like 6 little pieces of sushi. But I had one sushi roll. I had miso soup with, I asked for extra tofu in it. So for some extra protein. What else did I have? Oh, an edamame. I snacked on edamame. Now, when I got home later, did I eat more? Yes, I was hungry. That was not a lot of food, right? But I knew that I could order more if I wanted. I was being cheap. I could get the connie salad. I could get the seaweed salad. I could get like, there's other things I could add to it to bulk up that meal so that I enjoyed it. I like the flavors of everything I'm having. You know, they had like oh, that's what I got. I got tuna tataki. So I got like the seared little tuna pieces with like the little dipping sauce. And like I tried to include other things in it. So I didn't feel like I was missing out, but I didn't have to fill up, understandably so, on a few different rolls, which I think every sushi roll, if it's like a base model, right, like no fancy anything in it, is typically about 25 to 30 grams of carb, which doesn't matter. You'll be fine as long as you let your actions go back to normal right after, and it's not like, oh my god, I had sushi. You know, you're not having it 3 times a week for the next 2 weeks after a Puerto Rican vacation, right when the world shuts down from a pandemic. You'll be fine with the sushi. You know, another good option is what the hell is it called? Naruto rolls. Finally, they're becoming more popular, but don't go into expecting the same satisfying taste as rice. A Naruto roll is when they take like a veggie peeler and just slice the cucumber like really thin, long lengthways, and they roll up the contents of the sushi in that. I've asked for Naruto style for any other roll before, and they do it. It's cheaper and they get to charge you the same, so they don't mind. But Naruto style is really good too. It's just very much a different experience than your typical sushi, you know, if you're really wanting that like chewiness. So now I want sushi. I saw this TikTok with a bartender who was shaming people for getting vodka sodas, calling them alcoholics, but everyone in the comments was like, people drink that to lessen carbs and they usually bring flavor drops. I thought of you. Ooh, we need no more shaming. And why was the bartender like, did he get tipped? You know, like, did those vodka sodas like chintz on you, bro? Like, they part of your livelihood. All right, but I guess I can see that. Was that like the new joke to it's like the basic drink? Yeah, it's basic. I don't want to drink, 3 tablespoons of sour mix every time I go out. But I absolutely need to learn the try it, have a bite skill so I don't get to that fuck it moment. Yeah, because so many times I have a client and it's so hard for me to know how to respond because my neurodiverse way, sometimes I have a hard time vocalizing, like stopping and saying, that's amazing. I'm so proud of you before hopping into a step on how like to make that even better because they're doing great. So it just comes across like I'm telling them they should have done something different. But if I have someone who's like, oh, we went out last night and I could have had that cupcake. I really wanted it, but I told myself, no, it's not worth it. And then I went home and I had an apple instead. It's hard because I want to be like, okay, like, shit, I don't know how to, like, congrats, I think, because I want you to have the cupcake. I don't want you to say no to the cupcake, maybe in that particular moment, because it would make you feel like crap, but you did it right in terms of you still had an apple, like you still went and did something else, but is it a satisfying thing, versus having that app, like having a cupcake where, like it's actually something I'm looking forward to eating and I get to eat the whole thing. Then it becomes more of I'm not going to waste my time on this bullshit, like stomach ache cupcake. I'm going to wait till I can go home and have the big, massive cupcake I made, which is like amazing. I can have 4 if I want. You just won't want it in that moment as much. But if you really do, have a bite of it. And then remember, you got that big, massive cupcake at home. You could have 4 of them and it tastes great and it won't make you feel like shit. And I guarantee you when you have that bite, you'll be like, oh, it's good, thanks. Versus flat out no, because that will lead to a moment where you're not feeling your best, or it's a celebration or whatever the case may be. And you don't want that to decide for you because we got these issues all the time. not just in the face of situations like this. Okay, so I hope that this was helpful. Those of you who are in the challenge, look out for your goodies this week. So if you send in your homework by Friday, we'll send you over your goodie. Those of you who watched along who are not in the challenge, shoot me, well, I guess everybody watching this in the challenge or not, shoot me a text. Tell me your feedback. Tell me if you need to work anything out additionally. And tomorrow we can hop into that. But I hope this was helpful and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night. All right, so bye.